Hey, so it's been a while. Well, not too much of a while. Um, I always upload my videos the exact day that I record it. So I don't think I have to go through that. But the day at during editing was interesting. I had a lot of emotions and they were good. They were good emotions. So I shared chapter 3 today. Well, we went over chapter 3 today, and I already told you guys the process. So this isn't like the chapter 3 that I did a long time ago. This is the chapter 3 that I had to go back and edit every single time. So every time we finish a session, I'm supposed to go back and edit the previous session, the previous chapter that I have to send. So I was confident about this chapter, and I still should be because we didn't finish it. We didn't finish at all. Just a reminder that I go through chapters. It's a mixture of editing as well as, what's the best word? Teaching of writing. So it's not the traditional type of editing, and I know that, which is good because I need it. It's also a teaching of editing. And I mentioned before how Insecurities had reappeared from all of this, but insecurities that are not remaining insecurities that even when they arise, I'm able to like bam confront it. And I'm talking about two teenage boys here. One of them is sexually active. One of them is sexually active. In a way, he's actually, I won't say active. He is not active, but he got in some things, right? And I had to write a flirty moment, and I didn't know how to do it. I did it, right? And I did it with a lot of description. I did it with a lot of movement. And I didn't write how he felt. And let me just put some preference on this. The whole chapter isn't about the flirting. It just starts off with the first page and a half starts off with flirting. That first page and a half took us 2 hours, 2.5 hours of editing and discussing, more so discussing because she edited already. So she sent it to me, but discussing. And I could tell you that the insecurity of writing necessarily didn't come up, but I wrote something after writing it because I think as a writer, what you write, even though those characters are not really me, they're my babies. And I think so, they're my babies because so much of them is me. And even though what the main things that happened to both of them, I never went through, their personalities, the way they handle things, the way they don't handle the things, the way they love people, the way they push people away, really resonate with who I am. But I have to keep in mind that they're teenage boys, you know? So they have erection, and I didn't write erection. And, you know, I think writing and I think the arts, like, I think the art world, I don't know if it'll be called the art, but the world of art where it's like painting and writing and theater and plays and, you know, that sphere. I think we're very known, even from way back in the day, you know, there's stories and movies on these set of people being so emotional and so romantic or so dramatic, right? I mean, my boy cut off his ear, right? So, like, we're so dramatic and we're just in our feelings or we're not in our feelings, and the people see that and this is just so much. And I think that our books, our paintings, our songs, our stories, however, all of them are literally stories. Everything. regardless of how they show it, if they're being honest with themselves and its stories. I'm not sure exactly where you're gonna get from this, but I could say that when you get the constructive criticism, and I, even though this is my first time with an editor, even though I kind of had an editor before for like a short, I've had editors before, you know, and they did their job. One didn't actually. One, I paid someone in high school. My teacher told us to pay someone in high school to edit our national coursework paper, and it came back and it was like $50 at the time, and that was a lot of money. And really not no edits at all. Most likely she, child, only God knows what she did. But barely any edits, nothing useful at all, like scarce. And my writing was not that good. I mean, I would want to say my writing was not that good, honey. For nonfiction too, not that good. um, Fiction might be worse, just in different ways. Fiction, both not worse, but either way, your editing process, my editing process is, it could break you, and it should break you. My thing is, how are you going to allow it to break you? If you're someone, and I don't even know how writers could do it, but if you're someone, let me preference this for real. If you're someone who just knowledgeable about something, or you want to just say you're an author, this is not for you. This is not for you. Like, if you want to just say you have a book and you wrote a book on how to be a professional, blah, 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 this is not for you. This right here is for people who really have a passion and have a love, like this, almost, I don't want to say love hate because it's so cliche, but really this love where it's like it's painful to do something, but you can't stop doing it because you're getting something out of it. So even though it's painful, you're still getting something out of it, which is good. And I believe honestly that you're gonna break in your editing or in your writing. I broke during my writing and I broke during my editing. What I mean by this is, me myself had to confront myself, whether it was the thoughts that I have on if I could become a writer, a full-time writer, successful in my eyes full-time writer, or a, and also a breaking in just so much, like there's so much things, storytellers, let me just say storytellers, because it could be visual, it could be song, it could be written, it could be spoken, like storytellers. There's so many ways you yourself as a person break, and I think that's good. I think it's honestly like journaling. I think being a storyteller is like a journalist, not journalist, but journaling. And even though you're using code words because it might be science fiction or it might be this or might be that, you fall in love with your characters. You might even fall in love with the villain, the person who everyone's reading your book is going to absolutely hate, but you still love this character even though you hate them at the same time for what they might have done. But you feel for them. And I think that I remember a story with an actor. I can't remember which actor it was, but they did an interview and they said to be a good actor, you have to relate to your character. And he was saying that even with Adolf Hitler, that if you really want to convince the people watching you, you know, even these us who did not grow up during those times or experience it, like, you have to in some way understand or feel for Adolf, not agreeing what he did, but okay, maybe okay, the child abuse, so this and that, not excusing either, not saying that this equals this and we should let, no, literally saying that I get him even though I don't like him, you know. And I'm not even sure where I was going with that. Yeah, so your characters touch you, you feel them. And I don't know how long this is going to take because we're kind of doing one chapter at a time and we should be growing pace. Hopefully, the original time was February. I doubt this is going to be done in February. because I have another editor who I need to do like the, she's gonna do also like a bit of developmental, but after this particular one is finished, I don't think we need much developmental. It's gonna just be the proofreading part of it. But she's also gonna give other areas, proofreading, line reading, stuff like that. She's gonna be the last person that reads over it. And I told her like probably around April, I think April, May. Child, please. Ooh, I hope so. I hope around that time. But I think that tonight, one of the things I journaled about is the fact that, and it was like a rush of emotions, and I cried, and I don't care if y'all laugh at me for crying, but it was like, I have to accept who I am, and I'm this person who, this is kind of like my topic. People kind of know me for like being very raw and vulnerable and talking about mental health, and for a second I became shaken in wondering if all this time I really didn't know anything. But just from what I believe is that I think it's layers. And I thought I was at the raw layer, but I'm realizing there's even a deeper layer of being honest with yourself and being vulnerable with yourself. And I'm telling you guys this, that the session that I had, she did not tell me to be vulnerable. She did not tell me to be honest. She did not say I wasn't even really doing it. But there were moments in my writing where you could tell I was holding back, or you could tell I was not allowing the characters, even though I felt it. And some of it also comes with the aspect of how to write certain things. Like that's also a major part of it as well. But even still, like I had to break. And I had to break in a good way. And it didn't, it might not feel good, it felt confusing. And I'm saying that because I realized I don't know necessarily how to name things, which is weird because I teach children how to like call out emotions, and certain times it can, but I reach sometimes like this moment of where I feel things but I can't name it, and my characters go through so much emotional up and down, like literally both of them in their own so different ways, but they still like that. And I'm showing more movement of how they're moving in that moment than what they're thinking. And I didn't call certain things for what it is. And I just had to be real with myself. So this is the process of me writing, of editing. It's scary. It's really scary because I'm very invested. I'm very invested. And talking about these characters in a way, I call them my babies, but I feel like they're almost like the younger version of me, or people close to me. And like I say, when you read the book, get the book when it comes out. But when you read the book, the major things that happen, I'm happy like, ooh, like the major things that takes place in their lives, with those things did not happen to me. Yet the underlining stuff did, and the underlining thoughts that they had to flush out did. And I just had to realize tonight a lot about myself that was holding back, not just my writing, but myself. Because you always want to put the best picture of yourself. So these two boys to me are like myself, right? So they are like the good version of me, even in all their mess. And I think editing, especially in the way, even if you're not editing, if you have a tutor and edit who doesn't want to kill your voice, which I really appreciate, and who's not going to feed you a voice, which I much appreciate, but it's going to make you have to go into almost a scary place if you're not used to it, of in yourself. And if you hear me talking right now and you know me, you'll be like, what is she talking about? Because I am very open. Like I'm not someone who's outside of understanding and grabbing a hold of moments and feelings and emotions, but I realized that there were certain parts that were hiding that I didn't know that we're high. I didn't know that that I wasn't doing it. It wasn't even like when you know you're not doing something. It was like I didn't know that was even there. So that was the part that shook me. And a lot of the things that my editor has to tell me, and I have to do, I said I was going to do a video on just all the things she has to tell me throughout a chapter, like the words I repeat. One of them is like turn around. I keep saying turn around, and I keep talking about people's eyes. I just keep talking about people's eyes when I really should be talking about what's in their minds, what they see, and how it connects. And she talks to me about that. Like, you could say a movement, but you have to connect it to, okay, what is the feeling? What came from that? What, so like, don't just do a bunch of movement and think people are gonna catch on, because I really thought y'all was just gonna catch on, because I would play these scenes in my head, and I'll have sometimes you really, and I'm in it, like I have a whole movie just playing in my head, but I don't know if I was getting as raw as I could. And you have to get really raw with your characters and really put yourself in their shoes. And that's why I really don't like books will have really demonic and evil spirits in it, like that. You're gonna have to go into a place. Everyone could think of bad things because when we were kids we did bad things. And honestly, if I want to, because if anyone want to, I could sit back and probably think of some really scary, disgusting, horrible type of, I can't remember what you even call them books. Gothic? Is it gothic? Sorry if it's not gothic, but those type of books. I don't think it's thrillers, because I like certain thrillers, even though thrillers could kind of go into it, but certain books where it's really just demonic and it's just very evil filled and satanic, is just not right. I would not recommend anyone doing that, because if you really putting yourself in that person's shoes, you're gonna have to get to understand them and have to get to really become them in a way, in your mind. Like, you have to really, it's really like, how do you know that what that person is thinking if you're not becoming them in that moment while you're writing, while you're sitting back and like, what just happened, and yeah. Another thing that came up when I look at the teddy bears, which is really interesting, was innocence. Something I had to accept tonight, my innocence, and that's fine. My greenery, I hated that. I hated when people call me green. People honestly don't call me green anymore, at least not to my face. But be yourself. Like, a safety cam. Lord, thank you so much. Y'all, when I tell you, I felt like the Lord was pushing me to say the feelings. And I literally stood there. I'm at 18 minutes. I literally not stood, but sit here. And how I could say shaken, uncertain, confused, fear, like how I riddle them off to you. I literally stood still and be like, I don't know how I feel. And that was so scary to me, that I don't know how I feel. I hate that. And I'm actually good at doing it, but when I come into like a certain emotional state, I realize that I only was saying I'm emotional. I wasn't actually saying, using descriptive language, being descriptive. I was just say I'm emotional, or sometimes I'll say I'm sad, or when I was going through depression, I was depressed. The shaken and uncertain and confused and all of that, excuse me, I didn't really say. So, yeah, I think that when we walk into, and I don't want to get emotional with you guys, but I think so many people don't do it and live their whole life not doing it. But I just believe that we, whatever our true purpose is, it's going to be beautiful. But at the end of the day, it's still going to break you to some extent. It's still gonna break you. Um, but allow it to break you into a stronger being. Allow, like when you boil an egg, I just saw like a boiled egg. When you crack it, you get to, when you, not mind you, a boiled egg. So when you crack it, you become, you're not hard. Like, be willing to get in that place and be willing, if you're writing, just a bit of encouraging word. Editing, my editors say nobody like their editors, because the editors cut their hip. Your editors will challenge. A good editor will challenge you. A good editor will allow your voice. And honestly, that ain't the lazy editor, right? Because lazily, what I really would love is just for you to take my stuff and, to be honest, just edit it for me. Like, just edit it for me, and then what I do is I go back and I'll read it, and if I don't like how something sound, I'll just change it. But I'm like, just edit it, like, babe, especially if it's like grammar. Like, you was really switching the word, mind you. Grammar could change the whole sound of a sentence, but still, man, like, that's so much work. Editing is a lot of work. When people be shooting out 2 books a year, I just don't. A part of me don't know if they really writing that. I'm sorry, and I listened to TikTok, ghost writer talk before. Don't feel rushed. Don't feel like you have to rush your book. I would love to have this book finished by the end of this year, and have it edited. And I'm pretty sure I would, because my editor sure as hell ain't gonna be doing this for the whole year. Because like I say, it's like a workshop teaching, a private one-on-one teaching, and she have extensive experience with the actual editing of the book. So my situation is a bit different. I didn't actually realize, but that's just her style of editing. That's her style. That's how she prefers to edit that way. And because I'm a beginner, it feels more like a teaching and instructing, which is totally fine with me, to be completely honest, because I believe I pray to God about none. I didn't think it was gonna look this way, but I did want to learn through my editing. I just didn't know it was gonna look this way, but it's actually really good. So yeah, I'm not actually gonna read you guys what I wrote, but I just wanted to write that. I wanted to say that because I think there's a lot of emotions that can come. And I believe that regardless if you're an emotional person, if you're a person who cry or not, you're going to have to confront things. If you don't confront things, you're going to be like those painters. Oh, goodness. Boy, I know if painters are worse than writers, boy. Because, boy, I feel like the painters back in the day had more dramatic stories than writers. Oh, goodness. But like, some of them would just drink themselves. Basically in a coffin. Some of them are just so dramatic. And mind you, I'm a dramatic person, so that's why I have to stay close to the Lord. Okay, close with a T to the Lord. Because if I don't stay close to the Lord, I'm going to still be dramatic. It's just, how is that going to portray itself? Child, please. Anyway, talk to you guys later. I'm going to do a little headshot. I don't know, I guess, for like the... That didn't make any sense just now. But for... Anyway, I'm not even going to finish that. So, let me finish it because then my later self going to know. A picture for the template screen YouTube thing. I'll just make one up in Canva like I always do. Bye, y'all. Peace, love, and blessings, hunties. Bye.